speaking of great things, I found out today that Walmart is getting the special edition of the Justice League Blu-ray. And apart from coming with 6 collector pins of all the logos of the superheroes, it also comes with, get ready for this, a deleted scene that shows after Superman's, spoilers, has been resurrected, he goes to get his old suit back.
Oh my god, dude. I can't. I mean, you could have just stopped me at the pins. And that would have been it.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Oh my god!
We'll have to get it and review it for the for the podcast.
Yeah, we gotta get. I'm gonna take the pins and okay, you know where those are going. you know.
I don't want to see that scene though.
I think it would fix everything that was wrong with that movie.
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe they made a mistake.
It was a pretty tremendous oversight.
I just love all the things, like it could have been diving in a little bit deeper on someone's backstory or something, but no, it's just like, oh, this guy's suit is missing, we're gonna go find it.
No, I think we need another scene of just something else. Yeah, you know.
Wait, actually, now that I think of it, what was he buried in? Because like
a suit,
right? But then the next scene, he's in the suit. Yeah. Okay, you know what? That's fair. Yeah, where did the suit come from? Because in the next scene,
well, then we'll find out.
That was the least of my questions.
But now it's a huge question on my mind.
But now I want to know, like, did he go home? Did he like get a bite to eat?
He just like left it at
after he comes out of like the goopy water. He like flies back to Krypton to get his suit, and then come back down to be standing all epic with the other fucking superheroes there.
Yeah, no, it's actually a lot simpler. They were getting it dry cleaned for the occasion, and they just forgot it.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Fair. Well, anyway, welcome to the Nailed It podcast. It's January 20th, so you know what that means. It's time to record the December one. So today we're going to be talking about a very divisive movie with a very large fan base that's, let's face it, it's kind of eating itself alive right now. We're, of course, talking about the new Star Wars movie, The Last Jedi. So, guys, let's just jump right into it. What did you think of Star Wars?
Well, we got a special guest today.
Oh, yeah. Fuck me. Totally.
You fuck?
Yeah, Keith, why don't you introduce?
Yeah,
okay,
me.
So that's Glen over there.
Hey.
Yeah, you might know Glen from such hit YouTube series as... Say it, Glen. Say the series you're famous in.
I'm famous in?
Yeah, what are you famous from?
The Walking Dead.
You got it, dude. You just won one whole internet. That's great.
When I heard
The Cure, you may know him as Ace.
When I heard I thought you were gonna say The Cure, and I was gonna be like, oh, dude, I fucking hate you.
I was anticipating that.
The Cured people.
Lou hates it when people call it The Cure.
Right, because there's something really called The Cure.
Well,
too, I think.
Yeah, so it's a band.
Something.
I mean, hey, like your name is Keith. Would you be happy if I called you Joe?
Or The Keith?
That's, I don't know. It's not the same thing.
The Keith.
It's not.
That
right.
sounds like almost like noble. That sounds like some kind of like old timey title.
Yeah, I'm the Keith. I'm gonna call you the Glen.
Let the Keith decide.
The Glen is here, aiding us in this podcast today. And what are we talking about?
So we're talking about Star Wars: The Last Jedi. It's been a pretty divisive film, I'd say. Some people,
but the title does infer that there was a previous Jedi, right? You see, that's what I went into the movie. I just wish someone told me there were like others. Like I didn't know there were other movies. So kind of wish someone would have let me in on that.
Oh my god! Well, before we really get into talking about this film, why don't we talk a little bit about our experience with Star Wars, each of us? Because to a lot of people, Star Wars is very near and dear. To some people, it's kind of meaningless. So, Glenn, what's like your relationship with Star Wars?
Well, I'm actually currently playing the new Battlefront as we speak.
I'm sorry.
What do you mean? I love it. It's awesome. I like flying the
I like flying the thing.
I like flying it so I can
You push the
like
button,
Han
you go
Solo.
boom.
And that's you're referring to the one that like everybody got really all salty about, like the microtransactions and shit with, right? Like Battlefront 2, I think it is.
That one. That's a little stupid, but yeah, it's fun. I like to be the heroes.
Yeah, it's funny. You go to see like a big space opera-y kind of thing for big, large events of heroism taking place.
I thought you were gonna say heroin.
Same here.
That's before the movie.
Oh,
And then
okay.
you take your heroin and you go in and you expect to see great acts of heroism and epic moments where the good guys take out the bad guys, and quite the contrary, I guess. Where should we start?
From the
Oh,
beginning.
we were gonna say what?
Yeah,
Oh,
like
You were
your
talking about
experience
your
with
fucking game, Glenn.
it. Yeah.
Oh, I love Star Wars. It's like one of my my favorites. It's hard for me to hate it as much as some people. Well,
What's your stance on the
in
prequels?
generalities. Oh, I hated those. Those were not not my favorite pictures of all time.
Not my Star Wars.
Yeah, not my Star Wars.
Well,
Although I did kind of like the end of the Revenge of the Sith one. I don't know, maybe because Darth Vader got some screen time. I don't know.
have you guys? Are you familiar with that PewDiePie meme about his chair and how he like fully reclines and he says, "But can you do this?"
Yeah.
That someone made like that scene with Darth Vader on the thing, but they reversed it and dubbed it with PewDiePie, so he's like reclining on the thing. And it's like, "Can you do this?" And it's pretty wonderful.
It's pretty funny.
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
But can you do this?
What a good man.
Yeah.
What a good man.
So
Goodman.
I'm kind of in the same boat as Glenn. I really love the original ones. I love the newer stuff that they're doing too. Like I really enjoyed Force Awakens. I really enjoyed Rogue One. The prequels can suck a dick. Honestly, I think A New Hope is one of the earliest memories of seeing a movie I have. Like I'm sure I've seen movies prior to that in my life, but that's like
Right.
one of the ones that I really remember. Because remember, like when the prequels were coming out, they re-released the original ones in theaters for like I think it was like a promotional stunt.
Right. Yep.
So they had a big effect on me, especially like A New Hope and Empire. Those movies really mean a lot to me. So Keith, where do you stand with Star Wars?
It's kind of gay, dude.
So
So I do actually. Here's the thing. I was never super into Star Wars. I actually did really like the first movie, but I never really jumped on the bandwagon, as it were. But I like those movies. I think they're fine. And I guess I get the feeling I have a
Fine?
better idea of what they're supposed to be than anyone who's making them currently, or even who did, because it's a pretty stark difference.
yeah, absolutely.
But I used to be kind of a dick, a troll to people who like Star Wars, because it's really, you get really wrapped up in stuff. I have things that I'm really fanatical about too, and for whatever reason, I wasn't hugely into it, but I never disliked it either. It really wasn't until the prequels came around, because you just couldn't get away from it. You couldn't escape those. For a
Right.
long time, that was my only experience with Star Wars, and it made me so much more jaded.
Did you see the prequels or like find out about the prequels before you saw the originals?
I never saw any of them in theaters.
Okay.
I just saw, I'd seen bits of them. I'd seen them on DVDs at a friend's house and things like that. And you couldn't get away from the merchandising. And then years later, Red Letter Media put out their beautiful tomes regarding
God.
the prequels.
The
and
Plinkett
it's,
reviews.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with any of them, because they
That is
kinda
god
captured
tier
my-
YouTube content.
Yeah, they really did capture my thoughts on the thing. It's just I can't stand them.
I went to the midnight showing of every Star Wars movie.
Really?
That has come out
Wow.
since, well, except for this most recent one.
Well, how'd
That's
you
fair.
see this one?
What do you mean, how'd I
How'd
see
you
it? I went
see
to
it?
a movie theater.
With my eyes.
Did you
With my eye, I was just going to say that. Damn.
you done fucked up.
Actually got a copy in Braille, so
So
Oh, I
used
heard
my-
that was really well translated.
I used my
yeah.
tongue.
So
I can
well, how else would you do
Yeah,
it?
come on.
I can taste the Force.
So on that note, we're where we are now. What did we think? Just initial impressions, right? We've only seen it once each, right?
Yeah, I've only
Correct.
seen it once.
I've only seen it once.
Because the consensus I've heard a lot of people say is that the second viewing it like gets better. But I didn't have a time to go back to the theaters or anything like that. But yeah, just let's talk it through. What were your thoughts leaving the theater?
Well, let's take the Star Wars aspect out of it just for a second because it might make more sense. I think
We're
it
already
was
not
like
starting
a
great.
decent. No, because everyone is like butthurt because their fan theories didn't come true or whatever. With like Rey being a nobody, you know what I mean? Everyone thought she was like for sure like a Kenobi, and or like somehow Luke's kid that he forgot about or something like that because he was apparently like some Jedi playa. I think it was a fun sci-fi movie. Now, if you could take the except for the part where they went to the casino, which didn't make any sense to me, from either a Star Wars standpoint or a movie standpoint, I didn't understand that whole plot. Like, why were they at a casino? I don't get that. I don't understand that.
I might attempt to elaborate on it.
I mean, you can try. You won't be able to, though.
So overall, though, you think like good movie, not necessarily a good Star Wars movie.
Right. I think it's like a fun sci-fi movie. Yeah. Not the best Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I think for me, of the new three ones, I think it's been the weakest. I really liked Force Awakens. I really liked Rogue One. I know a lot of people
love
shit
Rogue
on
One.
those two movies too, but I think those were really
loved
great.
Rogue One. I thought Rogue One was like a good war movie.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, not at all. Like for me, I'm kind of right in the middle because there's stuff about it that I really, really loved, but the things that I didn't like about this movie, I fucking absolutely despised. So I don't know exactly where I stand. I almost feel like watching it again might be a good thing for me because it might help me decide. But I will also say, just like before we start jumping into spoilers and all that stuff, I think that the hate that this movie's receiving is also a little ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree.
Like there are petitions to like remove this movie from Star Wars canon.
Star Wars, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like when did that become a thing? You know what I mean? Like when did like it went from like people saying, "Oh, this movie sucks," to like, "Hey, let's eradicate it from existence." You know what I mean? Like
Happened with the Mass Effect series. Games.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I guess that is a fair point. I don't know. It just feels like this is a more recent thing. Like, you didn't hear about this shit like when the Harry Potter books were coming out or something. Like, you didn't have like, oh well, nobody like a lot of people I know didn't like the fifth book. I don't remember the Order of the Phoenix. I think it was. Like a lot of people I know said they weren't the biggest fan of that one. But you didn't hear them saying like, "Oh, let's burn every copy of that book," and J.K. Rowling needs to rewrite that book. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a really weird point that we've come to with this fan base. So, Keith, what did you think walking out? Your first impressions of the movie?
Well, I think the hate's justified. Whatever. Fuck it. I don't care. No, I thought that it was similar to what you guys are saying. I was watching it and I was invested and enjoyed it. I didn't want to. There were only a few really cringy moments where I wanted to bleed out of my eyeballs, but other than that, it was a really fun, spectacular sci-fi adventure with the most frustrating story I think I've ever sat through in a long time. I've never seen something with such high production values in terms of the visuals and the direction and even some of the performances, but the story, my God, what a frustrating mess.
Yeah.
What a frustration really does come to mind a lot because I can't really speak from a Star Wars diehard. Same thing with Harry Potter. I can't really speak to the canonical consistency of the books, nor can I of Star Wars. But I can kind of even see from an outsider's perspective looking in character motivations that feel weird, and stuff from the older movies, at least the first trilogy, that doesn't seem kind of in line or tonally consistent. So I can see why people would get annoyed by that. I guess we could jump in from there, like mentioning specific. Just start from start to finish. I don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah. Let's try and rehash it a little bit.
So here's the thing, just to kick this off, because I got to get this off my chest. I hate to be that guy, but I'm gonna be that guy right now. It's I've seen a lot of people talking, theorizing, conspiring about this. And it's the only thing that makes sense to me, considering how high the production values are and how great everything else is, but how bad the story is. Do you guys think that this is also just another weirdo infusion of super lefty bullshit politics that undermines virtually everything from the other movies? Because it's the only thing that makes that much sense to me. I tried to chalk it up and say, no, they're trying to make everything gray. They're getting rid of the dichotomy of the dark side, or whatever. They're trying to bring balance to the Force. They're trying to get rid of the Jedi. That's all they're doing. They're trying to say, fuck you, Jedi, no more. But it just doesn't feel that. It doesn't feel like anything is done with any reverence.
Well, I don't want to just take that theory and throw it out the window, but what evidence supports that idea, from the movie? I'm just trying to wrap my mind around it, or is it something
the bad
that you
guy's
could
a white man?
Virtually, I was alluding to the idea before, where you go to these big space epic movies to see some It's not really meant. I don't really look for the deepest story in general. I think most people just want to see, the good guys blow up the bad guys, in a sort of traditionalist, way, I guess you'd say, in action movies or sci-fi movies, things like that. Not to see every single act of potential, headstrong as it may be, heroism completely shut down and neutered and admonished, only to then sit and wait for death. That is a very odd tone to take, especially considering it comes from a purple-haired Laura Dern out of nowhere.
Okay. Well, before we go any further, let's issue a spoiler warning, because I feel like we can't really have this discussion without getting into spoilers. So, spoiler warning, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, just turn off the video and go away.
Yeah. So,
just go away.
Do you think a lot of this is kind of coming from Poe Dameron's character in this movie, for example?
What the fuck is that?
Poe?
What's a Poe Dameron?
That's the guy's name.
I can't tell you anyone's name. I don't know. I couldn't tell you anyone's fucking name.
Oh my god.
Poe is the X-Wing pilot who's constantly questioning Admiral Purplehair.
Oh yeah, the one that actually tries to do the shit, but he gets a couple of the fleets destroyed in the process.
Yeah, his name is Poe.
Okay, that's a good name. Yeah. Anyway.
Like Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah, it's a good name. Yeah. All right, I'll take that name seriously. All right, Commander Poe. Yeah.
Well, no. Well, that's not.
Yeah, he's just Poe, dude.
Poe.
Yeah, Poe. He's good. Poe. All right, Poe. He's a Poe boy.
A Poe for sure.
He's a Poe boy.
Edgar Allan.
Is it spelled with an E? Can we confirm this?
Yeah,
Is it O at the
P-O-E.
end?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can
Holy
show you.
shit.
I have a comic. They did a comic bridging his character between the two movies. Yeah.
Comic.
Yeah, I've been reading. It's pretty good, actually. I like
Okay,
it.
well, I'm just gonna jump off my building face first.
Calm down.
Yeah, there's
Sorry,
that.
I had a cough there.
There's the fucking. What else do you have? The character who, the Asian character engineer,
Rose.
whatever that they meet. Rose. Oh God, virtually
Rose is
every
pretty
minute
bad.
of her on screen was the worst thing
Yes.
ever. I can't
agree.
be alone in that. I mean, Why doesn't
She was the worst part of the movie. 100%.
the Empire could just fucking screw it, make her a clone soldier the shit out of her, and then what can't she do? All the while looking like a spastic retard. Really, really frustrating. This is supposed to be our savior.
You ever see
I
Walk
forgot
Hard,
there's
the
no
Dewey
jokes.
Cox story?
Of course.
You know how like the father throughout the whole movie says the wrong kid died?
Yeah.
Like in the first scene, like her sister died, and then we get her for the rest of the movie. And I swear to God, every
Yeah.
other scene under my breath, I was just saying, "Wrong kid died."
That's really funny.
Wrong one died.
At least her
wrong
sister
one
was like
died.
a hero.
Yeah, she went down doing something, heroic, so, she had to pay the price for that.
So, but just so I understand, so you're kind of suggesting the idea that like this idea of like not being a hero, not going in and sacrificing yourself for the greater good or anything like that is kind of almost like a propaganda message. Am I understanding that right?
Well, you said propaganda. I don't know. I just think it's the only way that I can explain how poor the story is compared to everything else, to every other element, is that they're trying to shoehorn some completely different, like weirdo political message, because it just fits too cleanly with every other piece of media we've seen, especially from Disney. I mean, you can't get away from it. How else can you explain why we had to go to I mean, some people have explained this like they want a cantina-esque scene, but going down to this casino just so we can say 1%ers are bad, and then we can free the aminals,
That's pretty lame.
and then have, the guys say, "Oh, they're free." Click cling? No, I have to, token Asian character that can do everything but is awkward about doing everything, can now unhinge this one saddle and say, "No, now it's done. Now they're free. I did it."
Well, it's like,
Shut up. And then that scene at the end. When the fucking guy tries to plow into the cannon,
Yeah.
which, all right,
Finn.
whatever, a Pyrrhic victory, I guess, anyway. But she fucking crashes into him, forces him off course, and they're both sitting there not being obliterated, by the way, by all of the military that's in front of them, just so she could say, "No, you can't do that. You can't fight war with war. You gotta fight it with love." And it's like,
I don't
okay.
remember the exact phrasing of that line, but that line was truly horrifying.
Everything
really,
that
yeah.
she did was horrible. And then
see-
you gotta have your fluffy things all over the place for the girls to buy, I guess. I don't know.
So it's really ironic that you bring that up because, like, I was saying I was kind of in the middle, like, there's stuff I love, the stuff I hate. The scene on the Salt Planet, like, there was stuff about that scene that I thought was so great, and then it's just punctuated by the most fucked up, stupid shit.
Yeah, the bad things that were in it just were so powerfully bad that they undid the good things.
I was about to ask that question, actually, like, before we started kind of, like, breaking apart the movie. Do you guys think that the bad outweighs the good in this movie?
Well, I think it certainly brings it to a neutral point. Whether it makes the movie bad,
I don't. Yeah,
It's gonna be really subjective.
I don't think so.
the problem is I really enjoyed it overall.
Yeah, that's
like
what
it
I
was
said.
fun.
I thought
but-
it was like a fun movie. It wasn't one of these where I was like, oh, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, like I couldn't like the prequels. I couldn't wait to be at. If I had seen that in the theaters, I couldn't wait to get out of there. But like the production value and the direction, brought the horrific quality of the story to a midpoint where they both kind of cancel each other out.
That sounds fair. All right. So let's try and take it from the beginning and move through the movie. And right away from the beginning of the movie, kind of similarly to the Justice League, I was almost immediately repulsed by the movie with Poe Dameron's with Poe's like little witty banter with Admiral Hux, and he's like, "Oh, I'll hold." Like the thing about this movie is like, I've said this to a bunch of my friends already. Like, this movie is starting to get that Disney Marvel feel to it. And I really didn't care for that. Like, a lot of the humor in this movie I thought was pretty bad. Like, and this, it's hard to, like, not sound like a fucking really horrible nerd in saying something like this, but, like, the humor that they
It's
used...
Star Wars.
The humor that they used in a lot of places in this movie, like, makes sense for us, like, humans on Earth, but, like, we're allegedly a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, right? So, like, the idea of, like, holding, like, a telemarketer, like, does that even make sense in the Star Wars universe? Or, like, some of the other jokes, like, we'll get to later on with Luke, like, there were some things that were just like that's Earth, dude. Like, in the casino scene, they use the word cops. You know what I mean? Like,
no, there's a lot of normal terminology
it just
in it.
felt weird. But at any rate, so that opening scene, I thought a lot of the opening was pretty cool. Other than that joke, like,
Well, I loved that initial X-wing fight.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
pretty
the
cool.
bombing run.
Fleet. That was really cool. I
And
don't know
that-
how that works though exactly. I was confused by, like, they were dropping bombs on them, but were they like missiles? Because it looked like they were just kind of dropping, like, as
Yeah.
if there's gravity in space. That confused the shit out of me.
There's
Unless it
a-
was just some sort of device that pushes them in.
Yeah, don't think about it too hard.
Right, exactly, and you're not supposed to do
No, yeah.
that. And
I
then,
just imagine they must
and
have
then
had,
that's
like,
how they
some
made
sort
the
of
story.
thruster to push.
Well, that
them
big of a
down or
mass
something
anyway
like that.
would create its own gravity, so those little bombs would be attracted to it. So there you go. There's your scientific answer.
Oh, there you go. Thank you. I was
Sick.
just asking. Okay.
And I was just telling you.
I didn't say.
Don't come at me, bro, with this nonsense.
What
with your fucking
Sorry.
science. So, yeah, so we go on from there, and that kind of kicks off, right, like I guess you would say the B plot of the movie, right, is the chase, the slowest chase in space history.
Well, that's the thing. There's only
Well,
really.
there's three main plot
yeah, I
lines,
guess.
right?
I don't know. I kind of combined the two ideas. I guess if you want to split it up into three,
Yeah,
you could technically raise stuff when she meets,
Right. Like, the Path of the
on other
Jedi is
planet.
one.
Yeah, and
The
then,
chase is another, and then, like, Finn, Poe, and Rose is, like, a third.
Yeah, I know. I was kind of combining the two because you really don't even see that much of. There's really not that much of what's going on the ship, like the rebel ship. They just cut back
Yeah.
to it occasionally to show you they're not all dead yet.
Still there. We're still here, you guys. Although,
I kind of barely counted that as part of the story. In fact, maybe, who knows? Maybe if everyone on the rebel ship just went along with the potential finding a hacker idea, maybe they would have had more success. Who knows? But now let's just get blasted out into space because that's the civil thing to do.
Sure. I was pretty bummed when Admiral Akbar didn't.
Yeah.
What?
They kind of just
And
unceremoniously went. That was kind of.
Off screen, too.
They just made a
lot of
throwaway line, like
people-
even Admiral Akbar's dead. Like what?
Yeah. And yeah, I've seen a lot of people complaining that, like, instead of Admiral Purple Hair that we would have gotten, if it would have been Admiral Akbar in that role, it would have been, like, cool and fulfilling. But I don't think so. If it was written the same way and just swapped out to a different character, I think, like, by nature, I think that role was kind of fucked up and one of the bigger problems I had with the movie. But basically, so from that opening scene, we established
Can I just
this.
say, yeah, I agree. It still would have been a very frustrating plot element that's nonsensical for a general to do, but you could hold that character accountable. To me, it just seemed so obvious what they were trying to do. They just wanted to put this, at first I thought she was going to be like a double agent or something.
Same
Yeah,
here.
I was
that's
like,
what I thought.
oh, obviously, okay, she's going to be that. But no, she's just comes out of nowhere to be a bitch to the guy that wants to do something and just basically neuter his plan. That's really all I got from it.
Well, really,
There's no reason why you can't just explain the plan. Who is going to... It seemed like everybody knew what was going on but him. Nobody else seemed to care. That was really weird to me.
Yeah, I guess.
I guess.
No,
Well, didn't you think that... What, is that weird?
No, you're not.
Why is he the only guy?
I never thought about, like, he's the only one that doesn't know what's going on.
I mean, everyone else is content to just sit there and get blown up.
Everyone else is just like, chill, just relax.
He's got
to
a plan.
play devil's advocate here, though, like, you're saying, like, she's coming there and neutering his plan, but, like, on the same token, like, he's he's her subordinate and he's trying to do his own thing, whereas she said like, hey, I've already made a decision. So what the issue, I
she's
think,
a leader in charge. She's still got to be held accountable by people, and there's no reason why you can't just explain the plan to people.
Well, he did just get like half the fleet killed in the opening scene.
That's the thing.
They all went
like,
under him too. Yes, it was a headstrong act.
So you can hold him accountable
matter,
as well and tell him to just relax.
And I thought he was going to have some kind of an arc to redeem himself, but they simply don't allow it.
Not yet.
See, I think the issue with the positioning of that storyline was we already know Poe, right? Like, we spent a lot of The Force Awakens with him, so he's a familiar face, he's a main character, a lot of people like him, he's a fan favorite, right? And you take him and you position him with the new Admiral who's, temporarily replacing Leia, and I don't think a lot of people watching the movie could really root for her, because she's kind of just immediately positioned as like this bitch, and like
it's not earned at all.
Right. But I think the bigger issue with her too is just that we don't really know her. Like, who is she? So what I'm suggesting here is the angle of the story could have been like, hey, he's being insubordinate, he's trying to do whatever he wants, and in theory you should be saying, well, why isn't he just listening to his superior? But because we already know him, because we think of him as a fan favorite, we're going to take his side, right? It's like it's the Breaking Bad thing, right? Like, Walter's doing bad things, but you still want him to be okay. You don't want bad things to happen.
The situation where he's coming from, you understand his morality, you understand what he wants to accomplish. There, the only thing I could think was, okay, is she a traitor? Or is this all just phony baloney, nothing? And it turns out, yeah, he had every single reason to worry. Because, our plan is just to go to this planet and try to hide from the giant destroyer.
Well, see, in the planet, I had a big problem with the planet thing, too. And it would have just been solved if she told them what was going on. Because to me, it kind of came off like they were being chased the whole movie. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, hey, there's a planet right here that has a base. We're all good. We're going there. We've been going here all along. It's just one of those things. It just felt cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, but... And we'll get into this a little bit more later when we get to it, but to me also, if she was transparent about the plan, I think the whole BC, whatever you want to call it, storyline of going to the casino wouldn't have happened, because they would have been like, oh, okay, we're going here.
It's so convenient. Like, had they just been upfront about what they were going to do, then really there wouldn't be any reason for this. Or we could have had a little bit of an argument to say, hey, maybe we should, try something else. Let's try to see if we can hack our way into the ship. Maybe we'll send half the fleet down to do a mission, and we'll keep the other up here. Like, whatever. Some kind of like, you feel like you're part of the team, like you're part of the plan, Yeah. Like something's going to happen. We're going to have action going forward instead of just waiting to self-destruct. That would have been a lot more interesting.
So we kind of left something out, though. The whole reason that we have a different commander is because Leia is incapacitated for most of the movie.
At this point, do we even have to, again, what were they thinking? That was finished, Lou. Glenn, that was in the finished film. They saw this multiple times. I mean, they didn't just, say what you want about the movie, sucked or not. They didn't just throw it out there, okay? Maybe they threw the script out there. But they didn't, shoot all this, watch it halfway through and say, it's probably fine. No, people saw that, and they said, yeah, that's integral.
Let's do that.
That's got to stay. That will be everyone's going to love that moment. And boy, did they love it. Maybe not for the reasons that were intended.
I thought we were watching Superman or something. It was very odd to me. It was like a slow Superman flight. I don't know. It was weird.
When that moment was happening, how did you feel in the theater, Glenn? What was your just is this happening right now?
It was cringeworthy to me.
Yeah.
didn't
I was
care.
doing one of those like I don't think I breathed. I held my breath, and I was like, well, you know when you're trying to smile really hard, but your mouth is still open.
Right.
I was doing one of those. I didn't have the air to laugh, but my face was stuck, and I thought I might have to go to the hospital.
At first, I thought that's like, oh wow, they're killing her off, because
Yeah, no, that's the thing. At first, I thought, oh, okay, they're just really playing up the fact that we made a big moment, and it makes sense, considering the mortality of the actress. But no, not quite. Quite a bait and switch. I'll give you that.
like her Jedi powers were never that strong. Even if you want to, I don't get that.
Oh, but Glenn, were they though?
Well, maybe we haven't really seen. She's maybe in the last 30 years in the Star Wars universe, she's been flying around. I don't know.
Yeah, well, and then you consider Rey, and then see my previous point, and then I think it's the only thing that I can use to explain any of this garbage.
Yeah, that was I can't defend that.
Well, Leia has kind of always been meant to be strong with the Force. I mean, they reference it so many times in the original movies,
you just never
right? Like Yoda.
See it, other than
right. You never see it, but you know
Luke,
it's a thing.
Luke, you're there or something, but.
Right, which to me kind of presents another continuity issue because Luke and Leia have always had that connection. So why was Luke missing if they had that connection?
They discussed that in the movie though.
Did they? I don't remember.
He removes himself from the Force.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah.
Well, I didn't
so,
know
yes.
he'd actually do that.
Well, Luke
so basically, basically he had no service, and that's why she couldn't find him.
To sum it up, that's basically he didn't have service where he was on that.
Yeah,
and then we get back to Luke is just so weird in this movie. I mean, even from a neophyte like me in terms of Star Wars, even I could see they're just weird things, motivations with him that don't seem right. The whole reason that essentially Kylo Ren gets created, where he starts going to the dark side, is so weird to me. I just don't think, especially after the original films, why would he have that crisis of conscience? I mean,
because he's a good guy. I mean, why wouldn't he?
Well, why would he even think to, oh, you know what, for the greater good, I better kill him, because that's what the Jedi do? I don't know. I just thought that was really strange. Why would that even occur? Why would he even have that battle in his head? He's like, no.
Because he's a Skywalker. What
is that? Okay.
It's hereditary.
No, but I think I don't think you're hearing me.
The conflict.
Well, Keith and I were talking about this a little while ago, before we started recording, and I was suggesting the idea, kind of based on Return of the Jedi, that you don't just simply overcome the dark side, it's a consistent pull. The Emperor baited Luke into beating the shit out of Vader, and he's wailing on him, and then he realizes I'm just as bad as them, I'm not going to do this. And I think that's what they were kind of going for, in the sense that he had a moment of weakness and he didn't go through with it.
I agree.
But that said, I can also see where Keith is coming from with the idea that he's already struggled with things like this, so why would he slip back into some I don't want to say habit, that's not the right word, but something that he's kind of already overcome like that.
I guess. I understand, but I also understand what they were trying to do as well. I mean,
I also like the way they presented that of seeing the same flashback from different perspectives and kind of figuring out that the truth somewhere lies in the middle there.
Yeah, all of that, the visuals were executed so well. Everything technical about it was just marvelous. I really, consistently, really, really, really good looking movie. Except some parts, I thought some parts on the planet, when they started doing a lot of the 3D Z space stuff, when there's Gears of War sliding into the trenches, I thought, oh wait, that kind of looks like prequel material. But other than that, I was surprised at how, the minimalistic a lot of the set designs were too, but still very effective. It was very, very cool.
I think it's safe to say for me that the Luke and Rey stuff was absolutely my favorite content in the movie. And the connection that she had with Kylo Ren, I found that stuff to be the most engaging parts of the movie, and I kind of wish we would have just stayed there more.
That was easy. I really enjoyed how they executed the Force connection I guess you'd call it. I don't know, between the two. That was really interesting. And then that point where she goes into that giant cavern under there and starts getting that weird trippy sequence.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah,
That was
with
very
the
very
reflection.
nicely done. And I guess all in the story, it kind of, well, whatever. I thought that was really interesting. I think that's also more the problem with Rey's character, and then seeing Luke's character, where like, again, there's just things that she does like immediately, like picks up upon stuff that took Luke however many, I don't know, films to master. It just seemed really weird how they get into one fight, one little scrappy do, and he just dead. They're fighting with sticks or something. You remember that?
Well, she gets her saber at the end of the
she
fight.
takes a saber. Yeah.
At the end, okay. And she is like whoops his ass, like he's like down on the ground. He's like done.
But if you think
Jedi
about
Master,
it, I mean, they were establishing that he cut himself off from the Force.
from the Force, but didn't he bring himself back by that point?
No,
See, that's the thing. I
he
don't
didn't bring
really.
himself back to the end.
But I also don't really understand like the logic behind it, because like if he really cut himself off from the Force, then why was he even training her?
Yeah, he was, because he had that part where he had their hands on the rocks or whatever, and he was like
Yeah.
guiding her through it, and then she supposedly went to the dark side and then did not hesitate. I mean, he still has to know what's going on. He still has to feel that at some point.
Yeah,
And
that's,
even
that's
so,
a fair
he's
point.
like, I guess maybe because he's old. Maybe that's why he went down.
Yeah, I mean, but even if you go back to the other ones, they even like the prequels, they felt the dark side in Anakin, but they didn't do anything about it.
But even in terms of just like fighting the guy, I mean, he's still Jedi Master, saber or not. So like, what? I didn't see The Force Awakens, so I guess like I can't really say. I don't like it. This
He
movie
wasn't in
didn't-
it really.
But this didn't really answer anything about her backstory, because I'm not looking to have the like film theories or whatever granted like that. I just was hoping we would discover a reason why she's a naturally perfect
Well,
fighter.
that's one of the problems, that she has no backstory. She's a nobody.
Right, and they just more or less confirmed it, which
Right,
is
and that's why
I
people
like
are
the fact
freaking
that they
out.
confirmed. Well, actually, I think that's a good idea to confirm and say, "Oh yeah, you are a nobody," but then it doesn't explain all of the shit that you're doing. I mean, at that point,
exactly.
a cop out and saying you're related, is better, because it at least justifies all the content that we've seen. Now, maybe we'll have to wait another movie to find out the real truth. I don't know.
I was about
Yeah,
to say,
maybe
I'm
think it's like
sure that's not the
like
truth.
Yeah, like it's not the real truth. Yeah, all right.
I mean, like, you look at the original prequels, and Luke was under the assumption that, Anakin Skywalker, is.
Oh, you
is
think there's
just
going to be
that-
a "I am your father" moment with Rey?
Yes, absolutely.
But then people would be mad that they're ripping that off.
Oh yeah, but you can't
It's like
please
poetry.
everybody.
It rhymes.
But
But who's left? Everyone's dead, right?
no,
Yeah, I
and,
think they're gonna pull some shit like that, or
Chewbacca.
yeah, they might do the similar thing. Like, remember they had that idea of like
Chewbacca's her father.
what was I think Emperor Palpatine told the story or something in the prequels of like that the Jedi like
Revenge of
who
the
like
Sith.
kind of
Mhm.
yeah, right.
I know what you're talking
So
about.
maybe they're just going for some shit like that where it's like she created herself. That's how powerful with the Force she is. I don't know, but the thing, like, I really did enjoy those scenes regardless, and like I agree with you, Keith, to some extent about the motivation stuff. I'm not shocked that she was able to best him in combat, just because like in the last movie, I mean, with no training, she was able to best Kylo Ren, who's like training to be a Sith Lord. So that shit didn't
So I guess
surprise
it's
me at
just
all.
Whatever.
She's positioned to be like the next Luke. You know
that's
what I mean?
that's what's supposed to make her character so amazing, is that she's so good.
Ah,
and
with the Force.
and that's the thing. If you go back through the trilogies, right, in 1, 2, and 3, the prequels, Anakin was good, and no one knew why. He was just naturally good. He was a naturally good pilot. He was a naturally good fighter. He was naturally, imbued with the Force, right? When Luke starts his training with Yoda, like, the difference, I think, is that in the original movies, the pacing was just much better. Because, like, you watched Luke fail. Like, you saw him fail to lift the ship out of the swamp. You saw him, realize, like, he like initially judges Yoda and he's like, this guy's a fucking animal, but then all of a sudden it's like this reverence comes over Yoda and it's like this crazy like don't judge a book by its cover moment for him. So I think the difference there is that there's so much growth. Like you see Luke go to Yoda's planet as one person and then leaves as a different person. So that's the area I think that this movie kind of failed in, is that there you really don't see much change in who Rey is.
Yeah,
Right.
she's pretty fucking boring. I don't really, I don't really care. I was much more interested in Kylo Ren, actually. I feel weird saying I did not expect that, but I actually enjoyed it.
I agree.
his
I
stuff.
thought this was a very good movie for him. His character.
I thought he was great in the other one too, and I kind of like the idea that what's his face? I'm blanking on his name. The fucking squishy Snoke. I was gonna say the squishy face guy.
Killed him off like nothing.
Yeah, that shit really bothered me. But I love how at the beginning he's like, "Take that ridiculous helmet off." Like at the beginning I was like, "What the fuck's he even saying?" Like, but I'm kind of glad they ditched that. I really love the makeup effect.
They also wanted a Vader thing going on.
Well, I see. Like, I think it was like a nice subversion of expectation, though. Of like he's wearing this mask to be imposing, and they're like, "Fuck that mask," Whereas like Vader, like he didn't really remove the mask until the very end of the trilogy. We I think we talked about this when we were talking about Spider-Man: Homecoming, that they had like the writer, director, whoever was like, hey, this is what the other Spider-Man movies did, and we're not going to do that. And I kind of feel like the same here. Like, there was so many moments in this movie where they were just like, yeah, this is what the fans want, but we're not going to do that, And like in Spider-Man, I think it was really great because it was like just new shit. And this one,
yeah, well, that
like,
was a turn for the better. I mean, this didn't feel like there was any reverence for the old movies or anything. It just felt like burn it all down.
I think one of the easiest examples to call out is just the fact that Luke like chucks the lightsaber, like because Keith, you didn't see Force Awakens, but like spoiler alert, I can't speak. That's how the movie ends, is like her going there, and the last shot of the movie is her like going to give him the lightsaber, and he has this look on his face that's like, oh fuck, and it's like such a, I don't know, it was a really cool moment. I really loved it. And then to like cut back to that and he throws it, and I was like, oh, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah, I chuckled. I guess I wasn't supposed to find it funny, because that's kind of a shitty thing to do. Wouldn't he at least have some kind of reverence? Like,
and if you look at the movies, that was meant to be Vader's lightsaber. So like, really, that should have. Wait, no. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
No. Yes.
That was Anakin's. You're talking about the lightsaber?
Right.
That was Anakin's.
Yeah, it was Anakin's. Well, I was right. Just not the red one.
Okay.
Yeah, not when
not
when he was Darth Vader.
Yeah. The one that he lost when Obi-Wan had the high ground.
Yeah.
But
you were my brother, Anakin.
Who the fuck fished that out of the lava to like
Don't
put
worry
it in
about
that treasure
chest? It's gonna come out in the
chest?
extended DVD, Blu-ray.
You know what would have really infuriated you, Keith?
Tape release.
In The Force Awakens, there's a moment where like Rey grabs the lightsaber and she has like all like these trippy like visions about everything, and she asks like Maz, who's like the little Yoda lookalike that was in like the fucking message, who told them about the hacker, and she like literally says, "That's a story for another time."
That's gonna be a spin-off, like the standalone.
Yeah.
The story of the lightsaber.
But going back to it, I really dug the connection between Rey and Kylo Ren. The way those were, like, I thought the way those were shot was really, really cool. And I'm kind of glad that it gave birth to that meme, Ben Swole, as people are calling it, the Kylo Ren shirtless with the high pants.
Yeah, that was.
I was very erect. Um,
I
I thought that was
Can you
great.
put a towel on or something?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
really.
Let's going back to that Marvel humor. Like, it would not have shocked me if like the Guardians of the Galaxy showed up in a scene in that movie. You know what I mean? It just it like the tone was just all over the place. It was really fucking weird. Because it kind of we said this shit about Thor
I remember
Ragnarok
laughing
too.
at some things. It wasn't all bad.
I don't know. Like, I don't mind humor at all, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the
Well, I
humor
get the feeling you do, Lou.
a lot of the humor felt very cringy. Like, I don't know, it just like a lot of the Marvel
Depends who's
movies
doing
make me roll my eyes. You know what I mean? Like, there's like that shit in Thor Ragnarok where like really serious things were happening and they're just like, "Oh, well, here's a joke. Don't feel anything." And like in this movie, like prime example, when Luke says that like everything you said was wrong, like I got a little laugh out of that. I like that kind of humor. And like Star Wars is kind of known for its little bit of campy humor. But like
I liked that part when she was reaching out and to feel the force, and he put a leaf on her. I thought that was funny.
that was great. I really like that.
Oh yeah, like there it is. You can feel it. Yeah.
Or like
That was really funny.
some of the
I wish
visual
there were more moments like that where he was like a Miyagi or something, and they had a whole montage instead of watching Rose free wildebeests from the one percenters.
I really like the visual humor in the movie, like the iron.
Oh,
I thought that was a really great joke. Like the scene started with that big thing, and it turns out they were just like ironing. I thought that was funny, and
yeah.
like I think it
that's
was
good shit.
I think it was at the beginning of the movie, where like BB-8 is trying to fix all the short circuits, and he just like has like all these little things, and he's poking them, and he puts his whole fucking head into it. Like that was a good little visual gag. I really liked stuff like that. But then I don't know, just a lot of the humor I thought just really fell flat and just particularly wasn't funny.
Oh man, they really, really ham-fisted their fucking cute, fluffy
Porgs,
Disney
yeah.
thing to sell to children. Like,
So
what are they called? The porgs.
The porgs.
With a G?
Yeah. Before
I want to call them porks. Like with a
before
K, like
I express
sweet meat.
my utter disdain for those fucking things, I will say this one thing. I was reading this article, and apparently the reason initially that those were in the film is because the island in Ireland that they were shooting this, like, is native home to puffins, which are like little penguin guys. So apparently they couldn't like get them out of the fucking shots. So they were just like, you know what, we'll design something to make it practical so that when they're flying around in the background, it's like, oh, we know what those things are. So I will
that's
say,
an excellent idea. However, you didn't have to shove it in virtually every friggin' scene. Every other scene has a fucking buy me in it.
yeah.
Well, now there's gonna be one in the next movie because there was one in the.
Yeah, why did
it's
it...
his pet now?
It would have been
Yeah.
it would have been fine if they were just on that planet. The fact that one of them had to be in,
It was
like,
cute.
you had that dramatic shit where the
seconds.
Millennium Falcon's flying around and then the Porg is just
They-
getting its face smushed up against the glass. Like that again, that
Like
is like
twice in a row.
yeah, that is like
with
prequel
that. It's
status
like-
shit for me.
It's also just like, yeah, enough. I get it. Marvel made they sold a movie once. Now we can't not do this. I understand.
Yeah, I really the Porgs I really could do without. So let's kind of jump forward a little bit, but first let's take a quick break to do the meme of the month.
Meme of the month, week, or month.
Yeah,
Week.
with that fucked up graphic.
Meme of the year.
Meme of the year.
Next year. The Nailed It podcast will return immediately. Here's the meme of the week.
You need a teacher. I could show you the way.
You don't know the way.
And we're back. So now we're going to start talking about a little bit of the meatier parts of the movie. So let's kind of jump past the Mary Poppins Leia shit, which was cringy. Let's jump past the training a little bit. Now let's talk a little bit about the midway point of the movie, which was kind of the Snoke confrontation and simultaneously...
Let's also where the plan gets really
Yeah,
gets going, right? When
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
gonna try to leave the ship.
And the casino. And all. I think the casino was going on at the same time as the confrontation with Snoke. I don't really quite remember, but let's
I
talk
don't know,
about those
whatever.
two.
She ran into oh god, what's Stormtrooper guy? What's his name?
Finn.
Yes. Sorry, I just don't know the name. Yeah, runs into the biggest, cringiest friggin' character ever created, and we're forced to be saddled with her for like the rest of their character interactions. So, they take a. No, he was planning to take a ship, and it made it look like he was deserting or something, and she knew something about deserting. She didn't like deserters.
She was supposed to stop people from deserting.
Yes, that was it.
He was going to find Rey.
Right, but she can't do anything though. She can barely hold a conversation though, and yet she's actually incredibly talented and has not failed at any task that she was given. So, I don't know. Her whole character is very annoying. Very, very annoying.
I agree.
And I'm trying to remember at which point they decided to go down to get the hacker. When was that? That's so weird. I can't
They
place it
contacted
anymore.
Maz, and she was like fighting all those people, and she was the one that suggested getting a hacker.
Yeah.
It was Finn's plan because he used to work, for it was his
He used to
part-time
work
job in
I
college.
just punched in at the Empire.
But he used to be there, so he suggested that if he put in the codes, he can like. It was the tractor beam, right? They couldn't jump to hyperspeed because they were in the tractor beam.
They were being
tracked through hyperspace.
So
that's right.
Yeah, he knew where the computer was.
Right.
To shut it off.
He would shut it off. They would jump to hyperspeed, and then they wouldn't know where they went.
Right. By the time they found out, they would be able to. Yeah, exactly.
But so two big things here, and again, I referenced this before. But if the general would have just been transparent with her crew, they wouldn't have needed to come up with their own plan. And two, they would have been stuck on that ship if their plan successfully worked, because they called out.
But even so, that way, that was the biggest issue. We knew that going there.
Right.
I don't know. Never mind.
Well, anyway, so let's jump on it. Let's talk about the casino.
Yeah.
Glenn, take us away, Glenn. I want to know what you think.
I didn't get it. I don't understand why they had to go to a this weird casino where apparently they play craps in space. I didn't understand that.
Space craps.
Well,
yeah, space craps.
The final frontier.
Here's the thing.
I didn't get it. It didn't make any sense.
The only payoff there that I can see is when they were done with the hacker guy, and it turns out, he was a dealer that's selling to, both sides, just like the people they met. I think they tried to once again make a neutral argument where, hey, there's, they're not all good, they're not all bad. You blow them up today, we blow them again tomorrow. So I think it was probably supposed to be another one of those, hey, we're muddying the waters morally. Though it could have been handled a lot better because, let's face it, they all felt like villains. So
I didn't understand that. And they never did find this hacker guy, this James Bond
they
character.
shoehorned in ways to make her fucking, and all the children slaves to these people. And
that's where
all
she grew up, or something.
Yeah,
and
this is where I had to eat whatever the aminals over here were done eating. That's all I got to eat was their poop or something. They're just really bad, evil people.
When they were there and they heard the noises and she was like, "Oh, is that what I think it is?" Did anyone else think it was going to be like pod racing?
That would have been.
Because then I saw a track and I was like, "No!" I really got really mad for a minute, but then I got even madder for different reasons.
That would have been such a great troll.
Because you heard the rumbling thunder, and she was like, "Oh, is that what I think it is?" And I was like, "It better not be."
Dude, I'm
really
not gonna
thought we were gonna see,
lie.
like, pod
And then
racing.
you got worse.
And then it got worse. I was like, oh, I wish I saw pod racing.
Oh God, what
At
a
least that's already
horrible
established.
sentence.
Oh my god.
I wish I saw pod racing.
That is like the best quote to describe this
Of
movie.
2018. Yeah.
Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I wish it was pod racing.
How's his Finn's character been in the other movies, by the way? Because I've only seen him a little bit, and
He's
I
only been in
really
one
like
movie.
John Boyega, but it just seemed like he was not there. Like,
Well, he's meant to be a little cowardly, and he gets himself into shitty situations trying to like impress girls. Like in the last one, he convinces Rey that he's part of the Resistance just because like she suggests it, and he's like, yeah, that's me, yeah, Like he doesn't, because he was a trooper, a stormtrooper, and he bails, and that's how he meets Poe.
got tired of that.
Well, the whole
Well,
idea.
he didn't want to kill people. He had like a
Yeah, but those
conscience
benefits, though, Empire. I mean, you get dental, like.
I don't know. And his like friend died, and there was like blood. The first time you ever seen blood in a Star Wars.
Yeah, that's
movie.
pretty cool. I really like that.
I thought that was pretty cool actually in that beginning of the Force Awakens. But never mind.
Okay, I don't care.
But the
Moving
point
on.
is
No,
that
you make that
he's a
very
good
clear.
person, but he kind of is cowardly. And
But he wound up working for the Nazis. Shut up!
well, that's the whole idea, though, is that he's breaking away from that. Like he's not a bad person. That's kind of the whole point of his character, is that he's a little bit of a coward. He has some cowardly tendencies, but he can be a hero when he needs to be. Like I think that's a fair
Well,
description,
no.
right?
Not in this movie.
Well,
And he didn't like
no.
choose to work for the Nazis. He
Yeah.
was like the whole backstory. He was like a child that was like forced to do all that.
Whoa. Are you excusing Nazis, Glenn? Are you
No, no.
serious? Are you serious?
No, I'm just excusing the. I mean, if you're gonna like hate on the stormtrooper character, understand where they come from. They're not like going down to the corner store and like signing up with some stormtrooper recruiter.
We're ideologically done arguing with Nazis, Glenn. Okay, so it's the current year +3, and I'd really appreciate it if you just stop.
Alleged Nazis.
So anyway, the Casino Planet. I thought that had prequel level cringe. I think that whole scene needed to just be
Yes.
out of the movie. And
It was pretty. This was strikingly similar.
And I was reading that they only spend like 11 minutes of the movie there, and
Really?
I could swear that it
That
was like
felt a lot
40
longer.
minutes. It felt like a third of the movie.
That felt like a good
Yeah.
chunk of the movie. Because, like I said, the other, I thought the other, I guess you would call it the A story, when they kept cutting back to the ship to remind you they're still alive up there.
Yeah.
Like, I barely even remember any of that. I barely counted it as the story. That seemed like a really big part of the movie. Because there's the part when they walk through looking for the hacker, then they get arrested. They meet the slave kids, right? And then they break out. And then there's a huge chase scene. That happens for a while.
I don't know.
Yeah, they go through all the streets and stuff.
Yeah.
With like people had nice cars.
Unless
I
they don't
understand
count that as the casino.
I don't know.
Because they're
But
technically outside of it.
the point is, it dragged. It felt out of place. I don't know. It was just, the whole thing was so like cringy and bad. And I just, I couldn't help but think like, hey, this scene didn't even need to be in the movie if the Admiral would have been transparent with her crew.
I couldn't just get past that, all right, we have important things to do here. This feels like a pretty big distraction. Doesn't really feel like I didn't feel the urgency during those scenes is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of just wanted to. Yeah, I agree.
Well, it almost felt
They had like 3 hours, and they were like, let's grab a drink.
it almost felt like they were there to serve the purpose of like kind of setting up the idea that Rose and Finn are gonna be together, like a little love angle going on there.
Mm.
Like that's that's what it kind of and like mad people were upset because a lot of people were suggesting the idea that Finn and Poe were gonna get together and be the first gay Star Wars couple.
Sorry.
So
You all right?
while
No, it was good.
While I thought the casino scene was horrendous and needed to be out of the movie, we also have to talk about the Snoke confrontation scene.
Yeah, we do. I thought it
So,
was so cute. It was so adorable.
what about it was cute?
I loved that the man, the scary face man, that's really good at thinking of things hard,
Snoke.
got so distracted. Yes, yes. He got really like distracted in his hatred for this one little Jedi, supposed bitch, and is like, yeah, you're gonna take that sword, aren't you? You're gonna take that sword, you're gonna ram it into the one you hate the most. Oh, right.
Happens to all the Sith.
That's
Path of
always.
the dark side.
That's always. God damn it! I just wish I'd have seen that one coming.
That really Snoke had so much potential to be an interesting villain, and it was cut short.
I did think it was funny
Yeah.
that towards the beginning he did like project himself through like the Force through a hologram, right? I mean, he was throwing around that dude in the beginning, the first Nazi commander,
They've done that
the
before
redhead.
in Empire
But what I'm
Strikes Back.
saying
Vader does that.
is right. But what I'm saying is, how do you go from that to, oh, this lightsaber next to me is turning?
Yeah.
I didn't catch that. It was too subtle a Force maneuver.
So to me, initially, I absolutely despised everything about that idea. I was like, how is this powerful Sith Lord falling for something so stupid?
It was a cool idea, but it can't happen to him. It's gotta happen to some schmuck in a like down there in the 1%er bar. Like, you think you got the Force, huh? Look what I found me. I found me a genuine antique lightsaber right here. You think you could take me out? Oh, and then just you stick him with it. That
would have been much better,
cool.
actually.
But this is like, you can't do it to the head, the head honcho.
Well, yeah, and even, like, he didn't hear the metal on metal scraping as it turned. He didn't see it out of his peripheral vision. Like, all those things were really bothering me, but I will lay this one on the table, and this is credit to Johnny, who's also from Cure. Johnny was suggesting that maybe it was done specifically for the purpose to show that Kylo Ren is that strong. And, like, it's kind of a subtle like way of saying like this dude is not a joke. Like he's so powerful that he was able to manipulate someone who, in the story, we're meant to think is much stronger than both of them.
You know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say they probably weren't thinking that hard.
Yeah, I mean it could be.
I could see that though.
It could be meaning
but
that
at
Johnny's
what point?
assigning
That
to
he was
it.
like manipulating his senses so that he couldn't tell he was moving it, or that he manipulated his emotional
Jedi
state.
mind trick.
He manipulated Snoke's senses to think that he was going to kill Rey, but in fact he killed Snoke.
Or that he just like made him go into a blind rage fury for a minute so he could move it.
Yeah, it's possible.
Okay. Sure. I guess we'll find out.
Well, justification
case,
or not, I really don't like it. Like, I really don't like this villain just getting cut like that. Yeah, it was really cheap.
Yeah, I agree. I thought he was going to be a bigger deal villain.
Yeah,
but it looked really cool.
I forget.
No,
I forget like the villain's name, but
Snoke.
in the prequels they talk about like the guy the Sith Lord who cheated death or whatever.
Darth Plagueis.
Darth
the Wise.
Plagueis, yes.
Darth Plagueis the
That's
Wise.
Funny name.
That's who I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, a lot of people were
no,
suggesting that.
He didn't cheat death this time because of all the scars he had. I thought too, like, hey, that'd be him. But I guess not when he's cut in half, unless he just got up and walked away.
His legs grow back. It's a new Sith power.
What's his face was like looking at him at the end, just like his dead body.
Oh
just like,
fuck! Yeah, Hux.
Hux, yeah. So I guess he's definitely dead.
Yeah, I mean,
so that was kind of I didn't like the way he turned out, his character.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just replicated it anyway, so they could have 2 more movies. Like, he's basically the bad guy, and I guess she's Rey's the good guy. I don't know. That I was kind of. I'm assuming I'm giving it a break there because I think that is just a setup for the other two because.
There was only one more.
Oh yeah, that's right. Force Awakens. I keep forgetting that Rogue One is not really even part of it.
I loved Rogue One.
I keep forgetting that.
Rogue One was very good.
So good.
So
That's for another podcast.
The other question I had in that scene were like the guards in red, which kind of harkens back to like the old ones, but were those supposed to be the Knights of Ren? Because like we've heard so much about the Knights of Ren, but we still haven't seen anything about them.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think those are just the regular
just guys.
Imperial Guard guys.
Well, they're all fucking dead now.
They're just the guard guys.
Well, I mean, they've been in like all the other movies, so.
But I really liked that fight scene.
Yeah, it was cool
as
as
fuck.
fuck.
Really cool. I liked the whole scene. Like if it were done with not the, the main head boss of the fucking Third Reich in space, like with force powers. Had it not been done with him and any other schmuck like 2-bit villain, it would have been so much cooler. I mean, that was a really cool scene. I loved the red backdrop, and I think it was very tastefully done choreography wise. It was really neat. And then and the movie just kind of starts to go to shit a little bit towards the end.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I think when they got down to the planet, that was kind of the worst part for me. I really liked everything, like up until that. Everything else, it just felt like a kind of non-ending to me.
Well, it wasn't really supposed to be an ending.
Well, okay, maybe to their movie trilogy, whatever, but the movie should still feel like it resolves. I didn't really feel like, we got anywhere. We just obliterated ourselves and then told ourselves that, well, no, we're gonna, the spark, the rebellious spark will start up again. That is the spirit. That is the rebel spirit. So we can all be slaughtered. It's okay.
Right, and that's how it ended.
That's fucking lame.
Well, there's another movie. It's not like it's ending forever like that.
Well, what if it did? It probably very well may.
Well, then I would have a problem with it.
I mean, Leia's still alive. Somehow. Luke is not.
That was a pretty bad decision.
Luke is not
What
dead.
A twist!
So, remember, Luke is not dead.
Okay, whatever. He absorbed himself into the forcely heavens. Whatever the fuck.
I wish I could see your air quotes.
Because he can come back like everyone's favorite green alien did in this movie.
Yeah. Well, see,
how cool is it that they use the puppet?
I actually fucking love that shit.
I'm glad. Yeah, technically I like it.
I was so gassed.
The only thing about that one that I thought was a little weird is that Obi-Wan might have made more sense in that scenario.
Well, at first I thought we were going to see all three of them. I thought we were going to see...
that would have been really cool.
Like, what's his face? I can't remember his name. The guy who played Anakin.
Not Hayden Christensen.
I thought we were going to see... Yeah, no, I thought it was going to be him. And because there was reports of him being near the set when they were filming this.
Get him out.
So I thought we were gonna see all three and Obi-Wan too,
that would have been cool
in ghost form talking to Luke. Come on, buddy, what are you doing?
Hey, dude,
that scene was that was another.
We didn't die for this.
That was another example of the cringy humor though. When Yoda's page turners, they were not, and I was like, ugh.
Not.
Yeah, so let's blow them up. They obviously don't fucking mean anything.
I saw this really great meme that said
They weren't in there.
When you go to microwave something and throw away the instructions and then immediately forget how long you need to microwave it for, and it's a picture of Luke running and it says the sacred text.
That's funny.
Wait, what did you say, Glenn? They weren't in there? What?
No, Rey took the books.
Yeah.
So I think Yoda. Now looking at it, I think Yoda knew that. Obviously,
that was just meant to be symbolic.
He is the Force. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
She took the books. You saw him at the end of the movie.
No, I legitimately don't.
Like a cutaway shot. Someone opened up a drawer and threw threw a bag of weed in there, and it was you saw the books just chilling in the ship.
I totally.
Yeah,
forgot
it
about
was
that.
on screen for maybe 4 seconds, so doesn't shock me.
Yeah, like you had to notice.
You had to have a
guess. I
high
don't know.
IQ to enjoy Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Well, you couldn't be a fucking idiot. Let's put it that way, Keith.
You couldn't be a dribbling dick.
But yeah, I like the Yoda thing. I thought that was pretty cool.
That was enjoyable.
I thought it was a foreshadowing, for the ending when Luke basically astral projects, because we weren't. I guess I don't know. A lot of people were either surprised or they like. I don't know. I couldn't find myself to be surprised that he wasn't there because they did a pretty obvious job of making him look a lot younger and more clean cut and well presented when he got to the planet. Because you also saw his ship pretty much underwater. And I thought something was up. I thought it wasn't him.
Yeah, same here. Well, especially since he looked different. Like his beard was different, his hair was different.
Yeah.
Well, he could have stopped at like the space barber.
Yeah, I thought that
the
ship.
I thought it because they made such a big point of saying there's only one way in as well. Like when they seal themselves up in that cave with the giant blaster, they keep on saying there's only one way in. There's only one way in. There's only one way in. So it's like, oh, okay, so he couldn't have gotten there by any other, traditional means. He must.
Well, see, when they showed his ship in the water, I thought that was just like an obvious, like they were gonna homage the scene from Empire where they're lifting it out of the water.
Yeah,
and, like, Rey
that
fails.
too.
And
I thought that too.
Like he was gonna, bring it back.
I think that's
But
almost why
everything
they
else-
did it. They probably were
Yeah,
like,
it
"Hey,
was some kind of a
fanboys,
hint.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, check this out." Nah, fuck you.
His old X-wing is right there.
The old fuck you
Vintage.
fanboy, the old fuck you fan of our films move. They love that. That's their favorite.
So he comes back, and genuinely, that scene with him and Carrie Fisher I thought was great. It was like surreal seeing them on screen together.
It was like goosebumpy.
And the one thing I could
Yep.
say is I really wish that they had a moment like that with him and Han. That would have been cool. But so he does his whole thing. We have another really like 2 cringy, awful jokes in a row with Luke brushing his shoulder off after getting like blasted by everything ever, and then Hux
Guess
being
what?
like,
Guess what,
"Do you
Lou?
think he got him?"
You think?
Yeah.
Guess what, Lou?
What?
I laughed at both of those. I thought they were both funny. Can you believe that shit?
Star Wars was a mistake.
Yes, it was. I mean, in general, but yeah, I thought those were
full
super
of hate.
funny because I
Path of the dark
basically
side.
didn't like anything else on the planet, and I was just waiting for them to die and explode, and they did. Well, they pretty much did. Yeah, they're pretty much neutered.
Why
Nothing
was
now.
I love how they were like referring to it as miniature Death Star technology, but like when it blows up the door, like everyone inside is just fine.
Well, what are they gonna do? I mean, it wasn't until they found out that oh look, the little other product placement thing is running.
Those
They're
things were
gone.
cool.
They must have
I like
gotten out.
those.
Yeah, the fucking salt ice wolves, whatever the fuck that
They were
thing
cool
was
as fuck.
supposed to be. They were, but what
Yeah.
what the fuck are these? I don't know. Is it salt or is it ice? I don't know. Whatever. Salt dogs.
I like how when he grabs the shit and he has to say, "Oh, it's salt." Like it's almost like a, "Hey, this is Disney movie. It's not blood on the floor," because like all the red shit.
Yeah.
I mean, you could use that for any amount of memes. I mean, you don't like our movie? Look, it's salt. I mean,
Yeah, it's
That's
Overwatch
probably-
competitive.
it's salt.
There was blood in the first one though.
I really, yeah, that's a good point too. I will say I really enjoyed like the lead up, like when the ships were riding into the AT-ATs. I thought that was really cool. I will say,
Very cool.
how practical is it that they're bringing this cannon down to destroy the only structure in that entire area, and they didn't just drop it off like right in front of the door, like they have to drag it miles through the snow or the
Well,
salt,
they did
rather.
that, yeah, like in Empire 2, like they are attacking
You mean
the
through the
base and
salt.
they're
Yeah, that's what I meant.
walking from they have like the AT-ATs coming from like 30 miles away.
Yeah. Like, why didn't they just drop them off right in front of the door?
Yeah, it would have been so much easier. But then there wouldn't be a movie.
I mean, look, tactical necessity. Okay, they don't have it. They're the Empire. They don't know anything about that shit. Look at who they hire as their soldiers.
For me, though, like, after that is where the movie, like, really, like, kind of got weird between the Matrix-style fighting and...
Yeah, I didn't care for the ending of this at all. I didn't like... Of course, you can't get through 20 consecutive minutes without having Rose bloviate to you some awful shit about, destroying your last, heroic act so you could say, well, you can't do that. That's not nice.
Well, what's interesting about... Because I don't remember the exact phrasing of that line. I think it was something along the lines of, like, you can't kill hate with hate. Or something, or like...
Yeah, it's like, some
what the fuck is it?
Sticker for your...
Glenn, do you remember the wording?
No, I don't... I thought it'd be way cooler if he sacrificed himself.
I agree. I think it would have been...
And I was mad. I was actually kind of bummed when she, like... I was like... Oh, God.
Yeah, especially now this is the 5th time in a row where this same event has happened, where we're trying to destroy any concept of heroism, no matter how, even if it is quote-unquote headstrong, or even if it does... even if it does potentially get people hurt, or if you have to, sacrifice your life to do it, if it would have mattered, if he could have actually destroyed that cannon, that could have been a pretty meaningful thing for him, like for his character. If can you imagine if that happened? Like they actually went there.
Yeah, I thought that would have been great.
Upset. Yeah, I mean that would be.
It goes back to that Disney Marvel thing though, that like, oh, no one can die. It's gotta be happy things. But like to me,
people die for sure.
The characters that don't fucking matter, and Admiral Akbar. like cause Luke's coming back, right?
Admiral Akbar.
That's not funny.
Admiral Akbar.
Hey,
that's his name.
Don't you dare talk ill of Admiral Akbar.
But yeah, I thought that was super cringy. And I mean, like, how great would it have been? Because I think like Rey coming in and saving them all was kind of cheap too. And like, it would have been crazy if Finn fucking died.
Rocks better than anyone.
He died, and then Rey was there anyway.
Yeah, like she witnessed it happen, and like he goes into the cannon and it blows up, and it like takes out fucking all the AT-ATs over there. And you can even have an emotional scene with Rose where she realizes he's dead, like, or like flip the roles, and maybe she's dragging his body back, and he's all fucked up and like burned. Like
that would have been too real.
Yeah, because that's the thing too. Is like even like Rose like passes out there, and it, like in the theater, and like Rebecca like smacked me because I kept like muttering things, but like I was even like, oh good, she's fucking dead, and then it's like, just like
I thought she was dead too when I saw that. I was like, huh, all right. I mean, I didn't feel a thing.
Yeah, but no, in fact,
I felt
she's still
great. I was like, yes, thank you. There is a God.
Well, I didn't mean it. Well, I didn't mean it like that. I meant,
But I will say, and I really don't want to defend Rose because I despise her character, but I will say that the motivation of that line of like not fighting hate with hate, or whatever the fuck the line was, it does kind of go with the overall theme of like not falling to the dark side. Like throughout the movies, there's always that repetitious idea of not striking people down with hate, and Luke even like literally says it. To Kylo Ren.
Can we prove that he was hating in that moment? Did he have hate? Because he had
Kylo?
a frowny. He had a no.
Oh,
what are you talking about?
No, that's the issue I have with the motivation. Is like Kylo Ren clearly was trying to fight with hatred, but like Finn was doing something noble. Like he wasn't doing it out of hate. He was doing it to save the people he cared about.
Yeah,
and that's what
because he had a frowny face. That means he was doing it with anger. Why are you mad at me? You can't do that with anger.
Yeah, I don't know. It was really... That shit was awful. I really despise that.
Yeah, it was very bad.
So that's the thing. Like, it vaguely, in terms of motivation, it made sense in the universe, but I just thought the whole scenario was just fucking stupid.
Yeah, no, you're right. Instead, let's just get blown up by the Empire.
Yeah.
That's a much better plan.
Yep. So,
And you know what's funny? It nearly would have happened if you think about it. Had Luke not been there, because they made such a big deal about saying we have no more allies. No one is coming to save us. No one will hear us. We are doomed.
Yeah.
That's like they made such a big deal then about saying that before. Had Luke not astral projected to give him time, and Rey not miraculously lifted rocks in time, I mean, they would have been gone. They would have been completely obliterated. And then there'd be no one there left to say, well, the rebellion sparks will never die out. Someone will take up the reins.
You could say that about every movie, though. If that doesn't happen when that happens, that doesn't happen.
Sure. But
That's
you
deep as
can't
fuck.
strike... Yeah. Wow.
That's called writing a movie.
No, it's called writing... It's called generating profit. That seems to be what it's called.
It's called story.
Wow. I want to hurt
Things-
you so much.
Things, Keith. I don't know if you knew this. Like,
No?
that wasn't in real time. The movie.
Oh,
like,
shit.
That was all planned out.
Oh, really? Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, fuck.
It was. Yeah, believe it or not. That's how they do this.
I didn't think so. Yeah. Well, you're right. You know, I can't wait for the next movie where we just get overwhelming amounts of predictable coincidence over and over and over again. Because that's what I pay for. I don't pay to be surprised or impressed or, you know, I don't really give a shit about any of that. No, just feed me the same thing, please. Over and
Watch
over.
Rogue One, and you'll think you're gonna.
I don't
You'll
care.
think you'll wait for the chance, and then it will never come, and then you'll see what happens.
No, I'm glad.
everyone.
I'm glad that was like the Halo Reach of the whole of Star Wars, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
So basically, it's all. So you know, good. That's good. Give me, you know, oh wow, that might have been refreshing for somebody to see.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great.
I think so.
I can't
But-
say. Whereas this is just, you know, oh, two of you got away, great, because we got there in time.
Yeah, and then I don't know, like to think about the actual ending of the movie with Luke like fading into the Force to kind of like homage Obi-Wan and Yoda. Like someone I was talking to, I don't remember who, referenced that they said very briefly in the
Talk to
movie.
people?
Yeah, I do. A reference of, like they made a reference somewhere in the movie that like astral projecting like that is like so draining that I don't know.
Well, I mean, I just assumed that would be the best excuse to
yeah.
have done it.
I thought it was super weird though, because like the other thing too is like if Luke like knew that he was gonna die or whatever, like why didn't he just go actually fight the dude, you know, or something like that? It
Well,
was
I
just
guess,
another one of
'cause
those.
He did it on his own volition anyway.
Right.
I mean, well, here's the thing: if he dies physically, is he not part of the Force anymore?
Well,
don't
yeah,
know.
that's not the case because like
No.
in like A New Hope,
that not
Obi-Wan gets
matter?
struck down
Obi-Wan,
by Vader.
Yeah, Obi-Wan died.
then
And he's still a ghost.
around. So, like,
hmm
I don't know. Maybe he should have just done that.
Yeah, that to me was one of those motivational things that didn't quite work
gotten-
for me.
Just gotten blown away. You can't do
Unless
that.
there was just-
you can't do
unless
that
there
in
was
a Star
just
Wars
no
movie.
time.
You can't. You gotta disappear into the ether.
Well, not all of them.
Not all
They
Jedi.
don't do that. No, they
Hashtag
don't.
not all
Samuel Jackson.
Yeah, he went flying out
Samuel
a fucking
Jackson
window.
did it.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. The other guy, what's his face?
Well, if you want to count
Qui-Gon.
every
Qui-Gon?
Jedi that went down in a
Yeah.
fight, I mean, you could. Wasn't there a whole giant fight, battle at the end?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm sure
Yeah,
Jedi went
eliminated all
down in
the
that.
Jedi.
but you don't
They did
know
all
what
of them,
happens
except for, like, two.
like their bodies after. You
But
know,
their
like
body-
what if the
No,
camera
that's what-
cuts
when I say
back and
went
then they
down,
fade
I mean,
away?
Like, you don't know. Like a lot of them probably. How do you know? Maybe they just evaporated. I mean, after all, their midichlorian counts are pretty much.
Don't
You know.
That has nothing to do with it.
don't you fucking dare.
Oh come on! It was funny.
No. It wasn't funny.
To kind of wrap it up. Initially we started this podcast and all of us said like it was fun, you know.
It was. That's the thing. Like all the negative
was
shit
good.
though in it brought it to a
Except-
neutral point.
Not enough R2.
Yeah, where's my
That's a good point.
He had one little scene, and in the original trilogy, he is the hero. He saves the day in every movie.
Yeah, actually, really quick before we wrap up, I had a little bit of an issue with BB-8, like slaughtering people. Like I thought that was a little crazy. That like he was like piloting the AT-ST and like
I
all
will
that
say
shit.
also
Oh, yeah.
that
We
scene-
skipped that whole thing.
Yeah, that's
actually.
right. Because honestly, outside of the planet stuff, that scene also I did not like. I was kind of like I went stare during it. I think it was just kind of like it was like overload, you know. And I was just like a zombie, and I don't really remember what transpired. They it's like their big escape.
Yeah, well, it's not the
which
second
they,
time,
again, miraculously survived every weird thing that happened there.
and it's the second time now that Captain Phasma has just been oddly and easily defeated.
Well, I can't comment on that, but it
They
was certainly
threw her
More
in
of
like
a figurehead.
they threw her in the trash compactor in the last one.
What a waste of a character.
Yeah, and Glenn, I don't know if you do Game of Thrones, right?
Wouldn't that be cool though
Yeah.
if that happened to her, like that whole standoff?
Yes, that's
with
Brienne
the...
of
I was
Tarth.
about to say, yeah. She's like a major character in Game of Thrones. Like, she's not a nobody, the woman who plays Captain Phasma.
Oh well, it doesn't matter because in Star Wars that has nothing to do with it.
That could have been any stormtrooper, like
Yeah.
with just like
Well, yeah.
a different color, like shoulder pad. It's like, oh, that's a captain.
Well, I was gonna
or
say,
something.
how cool would it be if Phasma was the one that got the lightsaber shish kebab treatment? You know, that would have been, you know, if you had a bunch of shit leading up to that, like a big confrontation. That
Yeah.
Well, no,
Kylo
because
Ren was in charge of.
Phasma and Finn are nemesis.
They have a history.
Right, but
So there wouldn't be any lightsaber play between those two.
okay, but you can work a way to have it in there. Okay,
No.
no, you're right. I guess you can. I mean,
You know who the lightsaber thing needed to happen to like a Jabba the Hutt style character. Just like a vile
yeah, I'm fine
fucking
with that too. Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, you know,
Cuz then it would have been like one of those like, yeah, the Jedi kicked his ass, you know, like that would have been cool.
yeah. Well, you could say, you know, had Phasma actually been a character, then you could have had a similar development where this is this vile organism that this
I don't think
Thing
they'd want to
becomes-
do that to her, honestly. I don't
yeah. I mean, either way, I don't care. I'll still sleep and breathe for another 60 years just fine. But like, whatever. I'm just throwing out suggestions for Disney. Like at this point, hey, why don't you try this, try that instead of what you did, which was
Well,
awful.
considering they just kind of gave this franchise to some guy, like Ryan Johnson really hasn't done that many big movies. Like he's done a lot that I would call cult classic, but like he's not really a space opera guy.
Look, at
So
this
who knows?
point,
Maybe they'll be
though,
like, "Hey Keith, you do it."
at this point though, you can't even level it. This is a whoa.
I'm sorry.
Ow!
I'm so sorry.
Holy. Gesundheit.
I like turned around too, like I wasn't even facing the mic.
Look, don't do that again.
My ears are bleeding. I have my headphones on, and
I'm sorry. So anyway, what were we saying?
I'm lightheaded.
I feel like you sneezed my sneeze.
Yeah, I feel like you sneezed in my
I
head.
don't have to sneeze again for a year. Well, anyway, I was gonna say before I so rudely sneezed at. I don't even think this is such a studio movie. At this point, I don't even know how much of the director is actually in this, or if everything is done by committee at this point, because there's just so much money involved. It's such a huge property, and unless you're writing the script to, put in your stupid ideology, I guess. Other than that, it seems like everyone else has to decide what goes into this thing. I mean, you really think that he really, the director had that much to say? How much can you really take liberty as the director on Star Wars: The Last Jedi? I don't even know.
I think he would have to have some. I would think.
Yeah, some, I'm sure. I mean, they're giving him a job, obviously, but insofar as like directing the scene and all that, but like the greater tone of it, I just get the feeling that's going to be overridden every time if it just strays too far away. So who knows? It's kind of like that
Maybe, I
whole
guess.
argument of, all right, well, is it okay to blame, what's his face for all the DC movies?
Zack Snyder.
Yeah, Zack Snyder. Is it all him, or is it a studio thing, or is it a little? Of
I
both?
think BVS is largely his fault because it has a lot of the stylistic things that he does in his movies that are cringy
Well,
and
okay,
bad.
yeah. If you asked me personally, yes, I say fuck him. But I'm just saying it is a question,
Yeah,
when
no,
it
I
gets to
agree.
these giant
Because
comic book esque, comic book esque properties that are now have billions invested in. Does the director
billions
really
and
have that much of a say?
billions. Yeah,
Billions and
that's
billions.
fair. That's a fair assessment. I think on the whole, like there is a lot of really good stuff in this movie. Like I said, I really enjoy like the training stuff. I wish there was more of that. I wish they would have been weirder with like the Force connection stuff. Like, I
Yeah,
said
that
the
would have
same
been
thing
so
about
nice.
like Doctor Strange. I really enjoyed that movie, but I wish they would have just gone weirder with it. I wish they would have done more of the trippy psychedelic shit. I just feel like if they would have made a 2-hour movie of shit like that, like the public would have been like, what the fuck is this? And I think that's kind of their problem, is like this movie is kind of set up to try and please everyone, and in doing so I think they really please no one.
Yeah, that's the problem with the blockbuster.
I think a lot of people who are swearing by this movie and saying it's a great movie or saying it's the best Star Wars movie so far,
Oh,
I
fuck
think
off.
they're kind of just lying to themselves about it or trying to be contrary, because I think when you really get down to it, this is like good at best. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was
Like
fine.
it's all right. It doesn't at all compare to the originals. I don't think it compares to the other two that were released in the last 2 years. I just think it was all right. Visually, it was brilliant. I think it was very good. Especially like that
Yeah, I
one
really liked
scene.
it. I really liked the space battles.
Yeah, the one scene where they plow the fucking ship through the other ship at hyperspeed, like that was
Oh
sick.
yeah, when I was supposed to believe that purple-haired dingus was actually going to make a selfless sacrifice. That was funny. But it was a great.
It was very well executed, though.
That's another plot hole, though. But we won't get
Yeah,
into that.
well, they could, let's just say that could have been a plan, by the way. If they were going to go to the fucking planet anyway, they could have planned to do that.
Do you know, I was reading this article, so many people were complaining at that scene, like in theaters, thinking that the projector stopped working because there was no audio during it. And like, there's this theater, I forget where it is, but they put up signs and they're like, at 1 hour 40 whatever minutes, there is 10 seconds of the film with no audio. This is not an issue. This is the film. It was an artistic decision.
Wow, I didn't even think about.
It's
that.
just
That's
crazy
hilarious.
because like I was talking to Rebecca about
I guess
it.
that's the standard
and
that
I
they
was-
were appealing to now, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because like I was thinking, like when I first saw that, I was like, but like I mean that didn't happen with Interstellar, because there's that, spoilers for Interstellar, there's that moment where the endurance gets like exploded,
Yep.
and the movie goes into like
What?
complete. Did you not see Interstellar?
Are you kidding me? I have it on pause right now.
Oh, fuck you. I would have been so upset if I like ruined that movie for you.
No, I saw that. Movie.
But like
It's
no,
okay.
at the time no one was like, oh, the
What?
movie's broken. You know what I mean? But then it's like, yeah, like,
they stopped the explosions. What's going on
but
here?
that's not.
The movie's broken.
But that, like to me, like Interstellar wasn't like a movie that was really consumed by like the common public. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like
well, but that's the thing. But even conceptually, like, I mean, you do have to have a high IQ to watch Star Wars. But I'm not trying to get on a high horse or anything. But I think obviously, Interstellar is not going to the same. It's not appealing to the same people.
right.
Also, in the same way that 2001: A Space Odyssey is not necessarily, appealing to the people that got Interstellar. It's. I think it's fair to say that there is audience disparity there, and I'm not trying to say that anyone that goes into a Star Wars movie day one is an idiot, but you're kind of like a little bit above it, right? Like you just want your basic
You're
sci-fi
on the
space
spectrum.
opera popcorn movie, like simple morality tale, just give me good characters and a fun story and let's blow some shit up.
Yeah.
So I
So
guess
guys,
we can see that.
Any last thoughts on this movie?
I like the space battles.
I enjoyed it. I liked Yoda. I need more R2 in my life.
So I guess we'll see where the series goes. We have the Han Solo standalone movie coming out in May, and probably next year we'll have Episode 9. So
I heard
interesting to
Harrison
see
Ford
where it
only
goes.
had to have 5 respirator breaks per minute.
Oh, it's
He's not in
a
that movie.
prequel. Like it's like
It's a prequel.
Oh, he's not gonna have any. He's not gonna have any
No,
old.
Harrison Ford.
scenes?
Harrison Ford hates Star Wars. That's why he couldn't wait to die in it.
Yeah, I think
mean,
that was
I
part
don't
of the
blame him, I
stipulation.
guess.
Well, he wanted to be killed off in like the original trilogy. He didn't want no part of it.
Whatever.
But he's ironic. He's probably one of the best parts of the original ones too.
I know.
But,
So
yeah,
you're
because
telling me
you
they're
can
not
see.
gonna have one scene where he's old?
Why? He's dead. Why would they do that?
Because why? I don't know. Because they have to. I don't know. It's one of those things you do where it's like, I
Did
remember
you not see
when
Force Awakens?
No,
Oh,
I
you
didn't.
right?
But I
You
know he
didn't.
dies in it.
Yeah. So then he's not a Jedi, so he can't come back.
But there's any point in time that could happen before he dies.
There might be a flashback. You never know of like when Luke decides to train Kylo
Yeah,
Ren.
especially if it's going to be like Marvel-esque. Like, well,
No.
boy, it's been a long 50 years.
No, this
How did I
this
get
is gonna be the
here?
flashback.
Because it would
This
have.
is gonna be like young him before even.
Oh yeah,
The original trilogy.
I was
so it's
talking like
not
maybe
even-
in Episode 9 there would be a flashback like
Oh,
that.
in 9 maybe.
Because
yeah,
it would
not,
be
uh,
cool if like, because like Han Solo in the original ones, like he calls like the Force mumbo jumbo or something like that. It'd be
Yeah,
cool
that
if he was like really against it and he's like, you're not teaching my son any of that mumbo jumbo, and like have like a nice little Han and Luke moment. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
But cool. Well, that's about it. I would say see it. I think it's worth seeing. It's just I think it's a movie you can't think about too much.
Yeah, God, because ugh.
And it's kind of, I think it kind of fits Rian Johnson though, because like Looper, he did that movie as well, and that's a movie that like if you enjoy it at the surface, it's a great movie, but if you really start thinking about the logic behind the time travel, the whole movie kind of falls apart.
Right.
So
right.
I think it's kind of what you guys said. It's a popcorn movie. Just enjoy it and don't stress yourself out of it. And if you're like a hardcore Star Wars fan, I think you got to just chill a little bit and you'll.
Yeah,
Or
you
just
gotta,
don't see it.
Get over it.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Who
fair,
cares?
fair.
What,
Well,
what are you really
you can't do
missing?
that.
Like, if you don't like it, you don't like it. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, that's fair.
It's
that's
not even.
fair.
I would see it again. Like, I don't need to see it again. I don't want.
I want to.
I don't want to see it again.
I want to see it again.
I didn't hate my time with it. I just don't need to see it again. It's one of those.
So anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the Nailed It podcast. If you got this far, hey, why not subscribe or smash the like button or leave a comment or do any of those fucking YouTube things?
I mean, I could give you a few reasons, but
Yeah.
I won't.
Shut up.
Okay, I'm
Keith?
sorry. I just trying to help.
We gotta
Just wanted to-
do this.
Yeah, I just wanted to help the audience. Be critical.
So moving forward, if you are a shut the fuck up. So moving forward, if you are a fan of the Nailed It podcast, our plan as of right now is we're going to be going back and watching some of the movies from 2017 that we didn't get to see and talking about those in the next podcast. So you can look for that in February. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks, Glenn, for being a part of this. I hope to have you on more often.
Oh yeah, it's been a pleasure, a joy.
how's Star Wars 2 Battlefront? Did you
Thanks.
hit a DLC paywall yet?
I give it. Nope, they do the free packs every couple of weeks. I give it 8.5 Wonder Woman butts.
Oh yeah, we didn't. Yeah, what would you rate The Last Jedi?
On a scale of Wonder Woman butts, I would give it a 7.348.
Okay,
Wonder Woman butts.
that's good. That's pretty good.
So how
It's-
much
it's
quantifies
decent.
a decimal of a butt? Like, is it?
What do you mean? How much? How much? What?
Well, I mean, is it literally just going to be like the skin, or like a piece of like muscle or fat? Like, how do you visualize 1.75, whatever you said, of?
I said 7.3.
Right. Okay. So what is
58.
0.35 of a butt?
Of a butt?
It's just
Keith,
the
if
poop
I have
inside.
to tell you that, you're not ready.
Shit. Show me the way, Luke.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great month.
Whatever.